Imagine this. You build a revolutionary company from the ground up in your parents' garage. It becomes a global phenomenon, changing the world. Then, at the peak of its success, you're fired. Publicly, humiliatingly, how would you react? Would you give up? This isn't a hypothetical question, and this is the true story of Steve Jobs. Most of us know Steve Jobs as the iconic figure behind the iPhone, the visionary in the black turtleneck. We see him as the undisputed king of Apple, but the story of his incredible success has a massive, often overlooked chapter: his epic failure. Let's rewind to 1985. Apple was a booming company, but it was also facing a crisis. The market was tough, and internal tensions were boiling over. Jobs, known for his brilliant but often abrasive and demanding personality, found himself in a power struggle with the very CEO he had recruited, John Sculley. Jobs had a vision for the Macintosh that was bold and uncompromising. Sculley, coming from a more traditional corporate background at Pepsi, was focused on sales figures and market stability. The clash was inevitable. The board of directors, once swayed by Jobs' charisma, now saw him as a volatile and unpredictable force. They sided with Sculley. And just like that, at the age of 30, Steve Jobs was out. The man who had co-founded Apple was unceremoniously shown the door. He later said, "The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again." But at the time, it was devastating. He felt like he had let everyone down. What do you do when the world sees you as a failure? For Jobs, wallowing in self-pity wasn't an option. The fire that drove him to create Apple was still burning. So he did what he did best. He started building again. First came Next, a company that aimed to create powerful computer workstations for universities and businesses. Computers were technically brilliant, beautifully designed, and way ahead of their time. They were also incredibly expensive, and the company struggled to find a mass market. From a commercial standpoint, Next wasn't a runaway success like Apple had been. But it was something more important. It was a laboratory. It was here that Jobs refined his management style and his obsession with creating a seamless integration between hardware and software. The Next Step operating system was a masterpiece of engineering, so powerful and elegant that its DNA is still present in every Mac, iPhone, and iPad today. But that wasn't all. In 1986, Jobs bought a small computer graphics division from George Lucas for $10 million. He saw potential where others saw a niche hobby, invested his own money, believed in the team, and renamed it Pixar. Yes, that Pixar. Under Jobs' guidance, Pixar moved from selling high-end graphics hardware to creating something entirely new. The first ever fully computer-animated feature film. Remember the first time you saw Toy Story? That magic, that blend of incredible technology and heartfelt storytelling, was nurtured by Jobs' vision. He understood that technology alone wasn't enough. It had to connect with people on an emotional level. Pixar went on to create a string of hits, from A Bug's Life to Monsters, Inc., completely revolutionizing the animation industry and making Jobs a billionaire all over again. Meanwhile, back at Apple, things weren't going so well. Without Jobs' vision, the company had lost its way. It was churning out a confusing array of products. Market share was plummeting. And by 1996, Apple was on the brink of bankruptcy. They were desperate. In a move that still feels like something out of a Hollywood movie, Apple made a decision they would acquire Next. Not just for its groundbreaking operating system, but to bring back the one person who could save them. So in 1997, 12 years after being fired, Steve Jobs returned to Apple. He came back not as a defeated man, but as a seasoned leader who had learned from his exile. He had founded 2 successful companies and had a clearer, more mature vision. He immediately got to work, making ruthless but necessary changes. He slashed the convoluted product line, focusing the company's efforts on just a few key projects. He famously drew a simple 4-quadrant grid on a whiteboard, a desktop and a portable for consumers, and a desktop and a portable for professionals. That was it. Simplicity. Focus. He re-energized the company culture, bringing back the passion and the insanely great attitude that had defined the early days. He launched the iconic Think Different ad campaign, celebrating the rebels and the misfits, a direct reflection of his own journey. This wasn't just marketing, it was a declaration of Apple's renewed identity. Then came the products. The iMac in 1998, A colorful, all-in-one computer that made the internet accessible and fun. It saved Apple. Then the iPod in 2001, which didn't just sell a product, it sold 1,000 songs in your pocket. It changed the music industry forever. Then the iPhone in 2007, which wasn't just a phone, was a supercomputer that fit in your hand, completely redefining communication and modern life. The iPad, the App Store, MacBook Air, the string of innovations was relentless. Each one was a testament to Jobs' core belief. Start with the customer experience and work backward to the technology. The period from 1997 until his passing in 2011 is now known as the greatest second act in business history. Jobs took a company that was 90 days from being broke and turned it into the most valuable company in the world. So what's the real lesson here? Steve Jobs' story isn't just about success. It's about resilience. It's about the incredible power of failure. Being fired from Apple was the worst thing that could have happened to him. But as he himself said, pretty sure none of this would have happened if I had been fired from Apple. It was awful tasting medicine, but I guess the patient needed it. His time in the wilderness allowed him to grow, to learn, and to return with a wisdom he didn't have before. It proves that sometimes our greatest setbacks are actually setups for our greatest comebacks. It's a reminder that your path doesn't have to be a straight line. Sometimes you have to get lost to find your way. So next time you face a major rejection or a devastating failure, think of Steve Jobs. Think of the man who got kicked out of his own kingdom, only to go out and build 2 more, and then return to make his first one greater than anyone could have ever imagined. It's a powerful lesson in turning failure into fuel. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as inspiring as I do, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about the people who dared to think different. See you in the next one.